West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, it's 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, August 6, 2025. Bill, big day, August 6, 2025. You want to know what?
Is it my birthday?
It's my wife's birthday.
Oh, hey, look at that. Happy birthday, Mrs. Jeff.
Happy birthday to Nicole Hunt out there. Love of my
wonderful.
life.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is really cool. Okay. Got to talk about this, though. Do a little bit of relationship thing here. Okay. That
17
first
years
time,
married, by the way.
Now, okay, we got to get back to this though. The first time you guys were, officially a couple, so
yeah,
and that
right.
first time that birthday rolls around, what was the pressure like? Because that's the first. Because this is this is like a test. Because she's kind of like feeling the waters out. Is this someone I can hang with for the rest of my life?
Well,
can I have kids with them?
That's kind of a
you
funny
blow that
story.
birthday or Christmas gift the first couple of years, and oh my man, yeah. Tell me about it.
That's a funny story because we went out on 2 dates. Yeah. She has not changed at all. She's the same person she has always been. So we go out on this day, and I'm working with a ministry called Young Life. I'm like the youth group leader guy who doesn't even know what he's going to do 5 minutes from now, let alone with the rest of my life. Skateboard, video games, hanging out with middle school kids, whatever. I was like the fun-loving dude.
Yeah.
She is. I pick her up, and I'm like, so what do you want to do with your life? She's like, I'm going to run for office. I'm like, oh, okay. And
That's
she's
a lot
like,
of pressure.
And I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to work in Congress, all that stuff. She has achieved all that. She's running for office right now. She's running for Elizabeth School Board. And I couldn't even process that in my mind at that time. So we went out on 2 dates and then didn't talk for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And then reconnected. And when we reconnected, it was like that, boom, instantly.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting married. This thing just works out.
Way.
It took me a little time to grow up and realize how amazing she was. But then we started dating in January, got engaged in August, and married by the next January.
Wow.
So her first birthday was right before I proposed to her.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm trying to remember I can't remember what we did.
Wow.
But yeah, it was fast.
God, that's
because
crazy.
It was like, you just know. Did you know that with your wife? Did you just know?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Now, I still remember, and we'll do this, our first date. And she and I still joke about this because we had a tag-along on our very first date.
We did too.
Yeah. Now, who was your tag-along?
It was one of my buddies because I was doing ministry. And so my first date with her was like, hey, the kids I'm doing ministry to have a play. Do you want to go with me to the play? And then we're going to go grab ice cream. So there's like 30 of us on our first date.
Oh, wow. See, I had a tag along, but it becomes a little more awkward. It's my younger brother. There's 9 years between the two of us. My parents are working, and one of them, I forgot who was supposed to be home at that time, and then I'm going out to dinner with her. They got delayed. They called, and they said, hey, and I'm not going to be home, etc. You got to take care of your brother longer and get him dinner. Okay, so I call her. I'm like, listen, if we go to dinner, we can, but I got to bring my younger brother. And I think he's 10, 11 at the time or so, something like that. I mean, he's young. It's not
fantastic.
Like he's,
You're not doing anything you shouldn't be doing with your little brother there.
And the thing for me is that, and he and I are so close. He and I were together all the time. So it wasn't necessarily unusual for us to go out to eat or me to bring him along onto things. In fact, one of the reasons, it's okay. Hey, Mom, if you're listening, turn the volume down at this point because they don't really want to hear this yet. But one of the reasons that my brother was so good at quarters in college is because he learned at my tables at parties. He didn't drink. He was not allowed to drink. But boy, did he beat everybody's butt. He was so good at it. So again, okay, Mom, you can go back. She can't hear us anymore. Okay, now here's the deal. So I bring my brother along. And we have dinner, and it's really nice. We have a good conversation. But then it's later on in the evening, and I think I went to the restroom and came back. And when I came back, my brother is sitting on her lap. And that stopped me. And I went, huh. I go, this one's different. She's different because of her relationship and how she related to him. And talked to him and viewed him as a person. And that was so cool. It was amazing. In fact, it's the reason that I knew my brother's current wife, and the only one he's ever had, but his wife right now, that she was different as well, because I remember the first time that she came over and did the holidays with us, there's a point where we're doing stuff around the house, and I wonder where she's gone, and I see her over with my daughters playing Barbies. And she's over there at the Barbie Dream House doing the stuff. And I'm like, ooh.
Part of the family.
This one's different.
Yeah.
She's different because
awesome.
I'd seen other girlfriends with him and things like that. So that's what it was. And I got to tell you, I got some respect here. First Christmas that my wife and I were together, we dated for years before we got married because we started dating so young. She still has the first robe I gave her for Christmas. So there's a couple of things that we have over the course of it, but that was one of the very first Christmas the very first Christmas we had together, and she still has that robe. And I got to tell you, there's something really cool when you get to see your wife more than 2 decades later still standing in the bathroom wearing the robe that you gave her before you were married.
It just gets better.
Cool there.
It just gets better.
There's
Absolutely.
something cool. And I'm just telling you, my wife is really hoping that, like you, eventually I'm going to mature and grow up. She's really, I know that she listened to this and she's like, there is a chance. He'll maybe give up the snakes and he'll stop being such a goof.
The boys are always slow.
Yeah.
So eventually we get there. Well, it is Nicole Hunt's birthday. She's
happy birthday.
My wife, the mother of my children. She's a planning commissioner. She serves on the school board. She's an attorney. She works for Focus on the Family. She's on the board of Pro-Life Colorado. She is a force. I love her to the moon. Happy birthday, honey.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's also, she's the reason Jeff has clean underwear.
Yeah, that's right.
He wouldn't necessarily, that would be something that wouldn't be higher up on the totem pole. But now.
And she takes care of our whole family.
Yes,
and
she
she's
does.
a rancher on top of everything.
She's amazing. So happy birthday, Mrs. Jeff. We're so happy that you allow him to spend time with me every day. And I know that I am a bad influence. I've done that. I've come over and I've suggested things to your kids, and I turn to your wife and go, I'm a bad influence, and I apologize. But your kids likes what I encourage them to do, yes.
We have a lot of fun. Absolutely. All right, we've got a lot to talk about this hour, including the Clintons being subpoenaed over Epstein, along with a bunch of other people. We'll get into that coming up. But now it's time for news and comments with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning on Nicole Hunt's birthday, Wednesday, 61, as the sun trying to peek out and expecting a high of 96 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in Moscow for talks with Putin at the Kremlin, where the two are reportedly discussing the war in Ukraine.
U.S. Special Envoy Stephen Witkoff was met in Moscow by the Russian President's Special Representative Kirill Dmitriev. This is Witkoff's 5th visit to Russia since the beginning of the year in an attempt to mediate peace talks between Moscow and Kyiv.
Daria Bondarchuk, 47, has set a Friday deadline for ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. If nothing happens, more tariffs will be slapped on Russia. A Texas senator wants the FBI to help arrest the Democrats who fled the state in order to keep Republicans from gerrymandering, even though the Democrats are the kings of gerrymandering, redistricting. Some 50 of these clowns have left Texas in expensive private jets in an effort to stop the GOP from gaining an extra 5 seats in Congress. Trumpster.
Well, I think they've abandoned the state. Nobody's seen anything like it, even though they've done it twice before. And in a certain way, it almost looks like they've abandoned the state. It looks very bad. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Should the FBI get involved? Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. They may have to. No, I know they want them back. Not only the Attorney General, the governor wants them back. If you look, I mean, the governor of Texas is demanding they come back. So a lot of people are demanding they come back. You can't just sit it out. You have to go back. You have to fight it out. That's what elections are all about. Yeah.
DJT is threatening a federal takeover of D.C. after a DOJ staffer was assaulted. 47 posed posted an image of 19-year-old Edward Korestein after the assault. It was horrible. And he said, if DC doesn't fix the issue, that, quote, we'll have no choice but to take federal control of the city, end of quote. A stunt biker brought the Sturgis crowd to its feet by doing something Evel Knievel never did. Rockstar energy athlete Colby Raha set a new world record for the longest motorcycle jump of 205 feet. Peter may have talked about this the other day. I didn't hear the interview. But right in the middle of a packed Thunderdome, after tying the record on his third try, Raha told his team he wasn't stopping until he broke it. On his fourth attempt, he nailed it, flying through the air at 77 miles an hour. Raha says he did it for the fans and to live up to the legend of Evel Knievel.
Yeah, he's even dressed like Evel. I'm watching it right now. Just type in Colby Raha, Colby, and then Raha on X, and you'll pull it up. And dude, he's in control. He's flying.
Oh, wow. I've got to check that out.
Gosh, we need more
stuff. Did Pete talk about that the other day with you or not? Or was he there?
No, he didn't. But way to go, man.
That is so cool.
I have enjoyed some of the images and pictures that Pete has shared with me from Sturgis. Amazing bikes, amazing crowds. And then there are some other pictures that he's like, the hell is this? And there is one, and it's not necessarily for public consumption, but it does not involve any nudity at all. But here's the idea: is there are some, let's say, somewhat scantily clad women in the background, and it's Pete in the foreground looking at the lens like, the hell? Like, really? I think just confused and everything else. Again, these women are wearing things that would be acceptable because they are covered up at any beach. So it's not like, but again, there's a lot of skin. And Pete's like,
Pete just looks confused.
Yeah, like, the hell are they doing? Yeah, and then there's some others that are even stranger that you're like, wow, people walking around
Peter
like, that's
Boyle's
not for
reaching the point where he's telling ladies to put their clothes back on his.
Yeah, but
interesting.
What I love is when he walks down the row of bikes, because it is just a row of bikes on both sides of the street, and he knows his steel. And so when he gets to one that is really cool, he'll send me a picture. He's like, you got to check this one out. Got to check this one out. And so it's fun seeing that through his eyes. But yeah, again, the idea of him going from, as Jeff talks about, the idea of, wow, look at these mostly naked women, to, wow, look at these, what are they doing? Took this sunscreen, something? Do they understand melanoma? Yeah, it's interesting. It's been great, though.
A lot of headlights in those photos.
But-ump.
Hopefully they weren't trying out any new ice cream flavors or anything like that.
It was self-serve.
DJT also signed it.
Oh, Billy, come on, man.
I'm getting in so much trouble.
That's awesome. Oh, goodness. All right, DJT also signed an executive order to lead a task force for the 2028 Olympics so Gavin Newsom doesn't ruin the games when they come here and steal all the money. 80 years after the U.S. dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, thousands gathered today in the city to remember the dead and warn against repeating history. Actress and producer Kelly Mack has died at 33. She battled a rare cancer affecting the brain and spinal cord. Howard Stern, the sellout, is being canceled by SiriusXM, his contract coming to an end. So let's hear a few seconds of his objective interview with Sleazy Joe last year.
Not only were you a star football player, but you were a lifeguard. I mean, you really, and you were the only white guy who was lifeguarding in this black community, right? I mean, you were the one guy.
I was.
Your family is pretty, again, this goes to my point about, the president is the father of our country. That's something we all say. And I think your family is so extraordinary because of the way they've conducted themselves and how they are with you, that I feel you have a lot to give to the presidency. These are my feelings. It's pretty amazing family. And I'm proud of it. I submit for your approval that when you have a loving family like that, you got a lot to give because you get so much from them.
Hey, so I'm gonna play some more next hour.
The crack addiction in that family.
Yes.
And the almost
so
incestual level
yeah.
relationships that took place.
Exactly.
Come on. Dude, that's why nobody listens to Howard Stern anymore.
Exactly.
It's the guy wasn't consistent. He used to be edgy and, push the boundaries. There he is just falling all over the person he's talking to. Gushing. Oh, what an amazing family. Now, Bo, absolutely. You could say that about Bo Biden.
Yeah.
The guy gave his service and then died of brain cancer. Terrible stuff. But Hunter and the ex-wife and the widow and the ex-wife and prostitution and cocaine addiction, crack cocaine.
Jeez.
Come on, man.
And it goes on and on and on. I'll play some more next hour. Rockies lose to the Jays 10-4 getaway day today. If you want to see some ball, or at least from the Jays, 1:10 first pitch at Coors Field. Broncos training camp continues. That first preseason game coming up on Saturday against the Niners. 60 in Parker, 59 in Boulder, 61 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast, there's going to be a tinge of haze and smoke in the air across the Denver metro. Mostly sunny, hot temps in the mid-90s this afternoon with clear skies tonight, mild still in the middle and upper 60s. Upper 90s for Thursday and again for Friday. We're going to finish the work week mainly dry with some of those brisk winds, lows in the upper 60s. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call 720-851-1691 or visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Best Saturday Night Live skits of all time.
Oh, yeah.
The head nod.
Yeah, the Bob. It's so good. And the thing is I don't know if you, because I was a club kid, okay? I was in all sorts of dance clubs. Music is that important to me.
Yeah.
So, it was the pop clubs, it was the rock clubs, it was, shout out to those that went to Norman's, Rock Island, it's a whole bunch of other places that we can go to, Deadbeat Club, places like that. But those people that went to the clubs and experience that pop music and the dudes that were dressed similarly, almost the exact haircut, and they're doing the same thing, the bop and the it's like that was so on target. It's like I knew those guys.
All right, Clinton subpoenaed to testify in congressional Epstein investigation. The BBC reporting. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary are among high-profile figures to be sent legal summons from a congressional committee investigating the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Republican James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, issued the subpoenas to the Clintons and 8 other individuals. The committee is seeking information about Epstein's history after President Donald Trump's administration decided against releasing more federal files on the dead financier. That's kind of changing at this point, and Congress has changed their position as well and is now out there trying to get some more information. That decision sparked outrage among Trump supporters and some Democrats when they kind of held back some of the information, who refused to accept the Justice Department's statement that there was no incriminating client list in the Epstein files. Amid a rift between Trump and some of his supporters on Epstein, the committees made up of both Democrats and Republicans recently voted to issue the subpoenas. The panel has also subpoenaed the Department of Justice itself for records related to Epstein. Lawyers for Maxwell, Epstein's associate, who is currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking, had indicated she was willing to testify before the powerful investigatory committee with strict legal protections. Her Schedule 11 deposition, though, has been postponed indefinitely. The Epstein legal saga has spanned 2 decades. Comer wrote in letters to each person that the committee must, quote, conduct oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws. So that becomes the reason why. They're not just diving in to get salacious details. There has to be a reason, and that's important because the Department of Justice cannot just release grand jury testimony. They're prevented from doing it. They can just go, hey, all right, you got questions? Here's the testimony. It has to be connected to some form of crime, some court proceedings that are happening, that type of thing. So Congress, motivated with regards to enforcing sex trafficking laws, generally and specifically, its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Maxwell. Comer has also indicated that the depositions will start this month and run through autumn. Bill Clinton scheduled for the 14th of October. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he will testify. Sometimes these summons don't go anywhere. They get fought legally and they just kind of dissolve and disappear. This happened with regards to Donald Trump and January 6th because he was subpoenaed to testify and then eventually they delayed it, fought it, eventually just disappeared. They can sometimes submit written testimony. This will be interesting to see what happens by October 14th. Former attorneys General Merrick Garland, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Alberto Gonzalez were all summoned as well, along with Jeff Sessions and William Barr, who both led the Justice Department during Trump's first term. Former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller were also sent subpoenas. This has been pretty big, sweeping requests for subpoenas. A spokesperson has acknowledged that Bill Clinton took 4 trips with staff on Epstein's private plane in 2002 and 2003 and met with Epstein in New York in 2002. Clinton also visited Epstein's New York apartment around that time. Citing flight logs, U.S. media has previously reported Clinton flew on Epstein's jet up to 26 times and occasionally without Secret Service detail. So, Bill, this is pretty big, sweeping subpoenas. Jeffrey Epstein, pretty rotten guy. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I was
Horrible.
looking through some of the initial cases, particularly the one that was prosecuted out of Florida. 60, some media accounts say. Now, Department of Justice was able to get him on, I think it was 26. 26 women, almost all under the age of 16.
Yeah.
I mean, this is horrific stuff that Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And you combine that with this New York Times article about the parties they used to host and the people they use around. In some cases, it almost kind of confirms what QAnon had been saying with regards to big efforts around pedophilia, famous people around pedophilia. You're going, goodness gracious. This guy was hosting just about everybody, even people visiting him after he was a registered sex offender. Some of the worst human trafficking taking place. And now you got these sweeping subpoenas coming from the House Oversight Committee. Do you expect to see anything come out of these subpoenas?
No, not at all. And in part because of who is doing the investigating. And what I mean by that is I'm not picking sides based on Democrat or Republican. I'm just saying this is Congress. And we've seen how wonderful they've done a bang-up job of doing things like, getting the budget in line, taxes, defense. I mean, there's a long list of things we can go through that they seem incredibly inept at. And we can go through previous investigations. And so, if you think that they're going to be able to dive deep into this investigation, and they're going to uncover the truth. I would put up first the investigation to the Biden crime family, and then let's talk about, for those that are fans of MAGA, the January 6th investigation from Congress. I think that based on your political affiliations, you'll be able to look at either one of those investigations and go, that was a bunch of crap. So the idea that we are going to be on a truth and fact-finding mission here, yeah. And then we got James Comer involved and in charge. That's like giving the keys to Mr. Magoo. He's a clown, and he couldn't find his rear end with a map. And he proved it in terms of the Biden investigation. How many times did he come out and talk about, we are about to prove nothing. So I have very, very little faith that an investigation committee run by this joker is going to find absolutely anything. And we know the Clintons.
That isn't already been discovered because, look, this guy's been prosecuted a number of times, including a lot of civil lawsuits. So it seems at this point a lot of rocks have been turned over. Now, has that all been revealed to the public? No. There's lots of evidence that there was a safe and he had DVDs in these safes, and it had listed the name of the woman and the person that was having sex with her. So he had a lot of evidence, and it seemed like he blackmailed a lot of people. Like he had videos everywhere, all that stuff. It seems like there's a lot of blackmail going on. But it's where I kind of see where it feels like we run out of oxygen is either there's something in there that implicates Donald Trump, because we went through 2 presidential elections, one of which were actually in both cases the Department of Justice run by Democratic opponents. I mean, you had the Obama DOJ, you had the Biden DOJ, and nothing came out when they're literally throwing everything they can at this guy. So that gives me pause that there's anything new in there that's going to be tied to Donald Trump. Plus, there's no evidence that he and Jeffrey Epstein had any relationship after 2004. According to my research, the last time they ever showed up in public together, had any type of engagement, was in 2004 when they were both bidding on a home that was an investment down in Florida. Trump got it, was able to flip it, make a lot of money on it. But after that, and Epstein was going for the same home, and they were trying to fight over it, and Trump won. But after that, you have no real public engagement. And these prosecutions didn't take place until 2006, 2007. And then it all came out of what he was doing. So I don't think there's a lot there that's going to be exposed that's tied to Donald Trump that we wouldn't have seen anywhere. So that's where to me, it feels like this thing runs out of oxygen.
Yeah, the problem is that during the campaign, Trump promised to release the Epstein files.
100%.
And
100%.
That's why he's painted himself in this corner.
Right.
Now, do I believe there's going to be anything, like overly revealing other than the relationship that Trump had with Epstein? No.
Or hearsay, oh, I heard Trump likes whatever.
And the thing is, though, that the weird thing is that even Trump, though, has been talking about the sexual proclivities of Epstein, his friend.
Correct.
Saying he likes them on the younger side.
Right.
That's from Trump.
And that was late 90s.
Yeah. And the thing is, but you realize if he ends the relationship in the early 2000s, that's Trump in his 60s. So understand there's a long time prior to that in which Donald Trump wasn't necessarily in the spotlight, wasn't necessarily as much of a politician. And there are times in which party lifestyle, I'm not saying that he may have partaken in the younger women,
correct,
but he may have been there when it happened in the other room or on the island with other people. He may not have decided, just like the idea that we know that he is a famous teetotaler. It doesn't mean that when he's around other people, nobody drinks. And so I'm looking at that could be the behavior. Does it mean he's guilty? No, not at all. And I agree with you that if there was guilt there, I think we'd have something, although I do disagree with you based on the QAnon stuff, because it doesn't prove anything that QAnon had been talking about. Remember, a good conspiracy has to start with a kernel of truth. And the idea that there are pedophiles, but QAnon was larger. The conspiracy was, yes, there's a pedophile, but it's a pedophile cabal. that is running everything. And the other part of that is important. They're killing babies and drinking the adrenochrome. So understand that's the conspiracy theory where it starts. That's the core of what QAnon starts with.
That there's there's obviously extremes there, but when you look at this New York Times article, I'll look inside Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan lair, and you look
Super
at
creepy.
the people that he was having over at his dinners, and the breadth of the leadership, right? So they have pictures of his credenzas inside of his
How often do we get to
apartment.
use that word today? Credenza.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Credenza.
Right.
It's a fancy
And they
word.
detail them out. Like you have Pope John Paul II, Mick Jagger, Elon Musk, Fidel Castro, Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, Richard Branson. And then you have Bill Gates, who apparently lost a bet, and there's a note written, "I was wrong," and a $1 framed bet signed, or dollar bill signed by Bill Gates. And these lavish parties that he would have. Woody Allen has written a letter talking about these parties.
Clinton has written a letter. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people.
And so that's where you go, serious human trafficking taking place. 60 women in the first case. Then you have the federal case, and he was apparently flying them in from other countries. There was rumors about triplets coming from France to satisfy Jeffrey Epstein on his birthday. These were minors that were flown in. And then you have Maxwell prosecuted. And then you combine that with these lavish parties. You go, I can see why people would go, oh, gosh, it seems like there's a cabal of pedophiles. But you're right that not all these people have been convicted of this stuff.
And that's the thing, and it's and that's where QAnon has to start with that kernel of truth. And the weird thing that I keep running into is this referencing that we're seeing over and over again. Again, we're getting only small samples of communications and people writing about him, but there seems to be an acknowledgement of something else going on with Epstein. Some people want to be willfully ignorant. Some just play with, and again, I go back to he likes them on the younger side type of a thing. So there was this idea that they kind of knew,
right?
But
did
they know that it was a human trafficking for pedophilia?
Swing.
I'm not sold on that yet.
That's 100%. That's exactly it, right?
Yeah.
So famous people like to be around other famous people.
Yes.
Bill Clinton.
It improves your
Barack
cachet,
Obama,
and they also
George
relate
Clooney.
to you.
They take vacations together, right? And they find people that have reached the top pinnacle, whatever it is. And you get this from this article in the New York Times, that if they're the top scientists, the top musicians, the top artists, the top Israeli spies, whatever it might be, they're all together, top. And this is why you have the Bohemian clubs, and you have clubs in Washington, D.C. that you have to be super elite to get into. They like to do that. And then they're all noticing that Jeffrey Epstein has young girls around all the time. And in fact, Woody Allen, in a letter, kind of, I don't want to say laughs about it, but
ponders it and talks about it being close to Dracula.
So listen to this. He is gushing about, this is a letter to Jeffrey Epstein, and he's gushing about these parties. And he says, I say, well served. Often, so he's talking about the food and coming down. Here, I'll start at the beginning. Being neighbors, my wife Soon Yi and I have been invited for dinner many times. Always always interesting. Wide variety of interesting people. At every dinner, just about politicians, scientists, teachers, magicians, comedians, intellectuals, journalists, a concert pianist, an etymologist. Anyhow, it's always interesting, and the food is sumptuous and abundant. Lots of dishes, plenty of choice, numerous desserts, well served. I say well served. Often it's by some professional houseman, and just as often by several young women, reminding one of Castle Dracula, where Lugosi, who is an actor who played Dracula, has 3 young female vampires who service the place. Add to this that Jeffrey lives in a vast house alone, and one can picture him sleeping in damp earth. So it's like they're all like,
and that's a letter
you're a
to
weirdo,
him.
but you host fun parties.
Yeah.
So we put up with it.
And imagine getting that letter from a friend of yours. A friend of yours is like, some things you do is a bit creepy, and it's like you're Dracula. You're like, what? This is a friend, Woody Allen, a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, sending him a letter, likening him to Dracula and questioning some of the reasons he has young women around the castle. It's weird. I mean, again, they talked about in that New York Times article that the entranceway to the apartment were a series of framed prosthetic eyes.
Right.
And I look at that and think about what is the psychological implications of that decoration choice. And what I'm looking at is, you're walking into, because again, when you're walking in through the entranceway inside of a house, if you're paying attention, the family or the person is telling you who they are.
Yes,
because that's
exactly
the first way to walk in. You can sit there.
Like our house is covered with the scriptures.
Yeah,
my wife has it everywhere.
Yeah,
you can tell a lot about us.
You can sit there and you can get a good read on the family based on that. And when you walk in and there are prosthetic eyes and they're framed and they're on the opening wall,
dangling,
and a woman dangling from a rope, and she's in a bridal gown. Now she's holding on to it, but that's in the atrium open way.
Correct.
And then you're talking about the idea that he had cameras everywhere, and in some of these sexual encounters, both himself and other people doing them filmed them. Well, he told you that when you walked in that front entryway. They're the eyes. He's telling you that he's watching. The psychological implication is that he is going to be recording. There's another motive here. That's exactly what those eyes in the frames are telling you. That this is a place in which you're going to be watched. This is a place that is going to be used to put you into a frame and capture you as a trophy. He's telling you exactly who he is when you walk in, because that's a choice he had to make to put that there, or at least had to okay it. That's weird. That in and of itself is weird. And all these famous people kept walking through that open entryway going, well, this seems fine. No. You weirdos.
They're naturally a little off, I found.
Oh, yeah.
Especially,
Yeah, they are.
like, come on, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's off there.
Yeah, and they deal in things that are, they live in a world that is strange. The idea of like Mark Zuckerberg. If you live in a world where you have a super yacht and can afford another yacht to follow your super yacht with supplies, what the hell do you have a super yacht for? But that's a whole different level of living. Imagine having a private plane and having another smaller plane follow you around in your private plane. You're like, I don't think you're doing this right.
Bill, do you remember like when Corey Feldman came out and was like,
oh boy, do I have Corey Feldman stories. Yeah.
What you have to do to get to that level and what you have to be willing to sacrifice. I mean, look at all the P. Diddy stuff, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, it is a broken group of demons.
Yeah,
it seems like.
I had a former talk radio partner. My last long-term talk radio gig, last time I had a partner just like you, my friend, was a former Hollywood actor.
Yeah.
You can see him in the Halloween movies. He's killed in one of them. He was a guest star on things like Father Dowling Mysteries, Silver Spoons, Different Strokes. You can see him as a child actor coming up and then doing stuff through his teens. And he was a very, very good friend with Corey Feldman. I've got some really interesting Corey Feldman stories.
What Corey says about like just the brokenness of that whole industry.
And that's what
and
my
how
friend
they
came
prey
with
on
too.
the kids and stuff.
And that's what my friend came away with as well.
Yeah.
That there's a huge draw to be there. It's a very special place because you get to act and pretend the entire time, but the price that it takes personally behind the scenes in order to get to where you need to be in many cases can be too much because it constantly asks you to break some of your own moral and ethical rules unless you are at that level of the top of the top of the top when you can dictate terms. When you can't, it's much more difficult as far as what you have the ability to do and what you can't. However, one of the things that I learned is those SAG checks, those are nice. Those are nice. It had been decades since he had done anything in Hollywood and was still getting nice, fat paychecks based on royalties because some of the movies and some of the TV shows on reruns.
Okay,
and he'd tell me, he said, the best thing in the world is reruns. He goes, I love it. He goes, you may get mad when that Halloween show is on at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. He goes, I'm getting paid. Right. He goes, run that every Saturday for as long as I'm concerned.
Jason in Denver texting in, look, I go on guys' trips, skiing, mountain biking every year. If one of them brought a bunch of 16-year-old girls along, alarm bells would be going crazy, and I'd never go again. Anyone who went to that island multiple times is guilty. Whoo, good point, Jason.
That's interesting. That is one thing that I wish we had more information on. Was we've seen some of the flight data and cell phone data of people going to and from the island. I wish that, and maybe it exists, but there was a larger aggregation of information about who we knew when they were at the and kind of like the idea of on this date these number of people were there, on this date this number of people were there, they flew away on this date, and kind of look at who was there at the time. Because if we know that someone that you don't think is a creep is flying there with someone that is a creep, it's like the idea of you may think that John Smith is a great guy, but you find out that John Smith was a regular at those P. Diddy freak-offs. You're like, hang on. I don't think that maybe he's a freak, but I got some questions.
Epstein would get these massages 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's okay. Excuse, and I'm sorry about saying this, but what muscle is he trying to loosen up?
Oh yeah,
that's a lot of
I mean, this guy.
Oh, and the crazy part is the predation that was involved, and the fact that giving a massage was, in some ways, it's became code for find me a young lady that I can take advantage of. And for me, one of the most diabolical things inside of this entire Epstein fiasco is that he would take these young women that he would abuse and take advantage of and then recruit them to find somebody else.
Right.
And so imagine what you've done psychologically to that young woman and any individual when you were like, I have done this to you and taken advantage of you, and now I need your help in finding another victim. So terrible. You're asking the victim to help curate a second victim. That is shocking and twisted on a level that is really hard to realize and wrap your head around. And I don't think that we as Americans are spending enough time with that this is a guy that was able to convince his victims to find him more victims. Imagine if this was someone that was a serial rapist and he turned around and said, well, I got my next victims because I asked the people I raped before who I should rape next. That's what this is. That is scary.
Bad news. Bad news. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Lots of powerful people called before Congress, subpoenaed to testify with regards to what they knew about Jeffrey Epstein, Maxwell, and the sex trafficking that was taking place. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Merrick Garland, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Alberto Gonzales, Jeff Sessions, William Barr, former FBI directors James Comey, Robert Mueller. Goodness. Suzanne texting in saying that this depravity will turn out to be one of the biggest cover-ups in modern history. Do you agree, Bill?
Yeah, I think it will be. And one of the things that I think where Suzanne's going is I'm curious as to whether or not we'll ever have the whole truth. And does this become the JFK assassination, where there's always going to be questions, there's always going to be things? And for me, this is going to be Exhibit A into the how and why when we talk about a two-tiered justice system. That I know there have been a lot of people in political fields talking about two-tiered justice system, but they have been doing it based on Democrat, Republican, and that's not where it exists at all. Where it exists is based on wealth, power, and influence. That's the two-tiered justice system. Now, it's been going on for years. This is not anything new.
Chris Rock did a whole thing on this.
Oh, yeah.
That OJ wasn't let out because he's black. He's let out because he's famous.
Yeah, exactly.
If he was Orenthal, the bus driver, he'd be Orenthal, the
convicted murderer.
Bus driver murdering.
Yeah, because he had the ability to hire Johnny Cochran and Kardashian and the lot.
Yeah.
And that was his ability. And I think at the same level, you have that with someone like a Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, we know that Alan Dershowitz allegedly, we know their allegations, and that's why I'm saying it here, that Dershowitz received massages from some of Epstein's young women. We have testimony to that.
Here's what I've learned working in politics for 20 years. People that get to the highest level of politics are generally smart people. Not always, right? Woodrow being one of them. Colorado.
Nice job.
Not. By the way, he's retiring, and everyone cheered. Everybody cheered. But you're generally a smart person. Okay. Smart people don't leave evidence.
Yeah.
Of anything that they do, whether it's, sleeping around with minors with Jeffrey Epstein or funding money through shell corporations that they set up. Smart people do not leave evidence of things that are going to get them in trouble.
Yeah, and sometimes when they do, people dig enough,
they disappear. If there was I said this about the JFK assassination. If there's a memo that existed that said the CIA directed Lee Harvey Oswald to assassinate JFK, somebody walked in, pulled that memo out, and threw it in the trash or ripped it up and destroyed it. They're not going to let this stuff exist. So you can go dig and dig and dig and dig, and you might find a little bit of evidence here, a little bit of evidence there. You're never going to find the smoking gun.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that, over the course of a number of different things as far as what do we know. And there are also some assumptions that people have made. Like just recently, was it Kash Patel talked about the idea that he found a bunch of burn bags at the FBI that have all this Russian information in it. And people are running around going, aha, now we're going to have it. And I'm like, no, because if the stuff was really, really that sensitive, it would have been burned immediately. I mean, if it was something, if you really think that it was the Obama administration that was putting forth this plan to do X, Y, and Z, someone would have burnt that paper immediately. And that's the part
and
on this
political people, if they want something done and they don't want evidence, they make phone calls of it. And so, they don't write this stuff down. 6135 saying all the people subpoenaed is just going to be a scolding room and then they'll go home. No one will be handcuffed.
No one will be. Not at all. But then sometimes they do get the rich and powerful all held to account, not always as we want to, because we have Attorney General in Texas, Paxton. They found his, other woman sitting around, and they traced her and saw him paying for her apartment and things like that. And they traced when he was going to be there.
Clinton let the blue dress go.
Yeah, exactly. So there are times in which, maybe the politicians that get to that higher level aren't necessarily the smartest, but they have to be smart enough to put people around them that will provide the cover and know what they need to burn and what needs to not to disappear. And that may be the key that we have here with Epstein and Maxwell. that Maxwell was the first layer of protection, and Epstein, because of his connections, was smart enough to put people around him that would clean up everything after. There's a reason why inside of Pulp Fiction, when things go bad, they call Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, right.
He's the cleaner.
Well, Jason saying if Trump pardons Maxwell, I'll be done with him forever. But what if Maxwell gives the dirt? Would you be willing to trade a pardon for that? Join the conversation.
Would you trust anything that she said if you know she's doing it for a pardon?
Give us a call, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.